These tiny particles provide some big benefits. They're part of a process that reduces air emissions. They're reducing the need for landfills. And they're helping farmers grow better crops. This is FGD Gypsum. It's a product from We Energies. FGD gypsum is produced by removing sulfur from coal-fueled power plants. That process is called flue gas desulfurization. We Energies reduces sulfur emissions by more than 95% by using advanced wet scrubbing technology.
We Energies chose the wet scrubbing process over many other processes. It actually had a more expensive first cost, but we knew that we would get the air quality results that were needed, and we would have a usable product, gypsum. The wet scrubbing process attached to our power plants actually produces a more pure form of gypsum than what you would naturally obtain by mining.
There's a demand for gypsum. So through ingenuity and investment, We Energies creates a useful product rather than a material that has to be landfilled.
We Energies has a long tradition of finding uses for its coal combustion products. Today and in the last several years, we're very proud to say that over 95% of our coal combustion products are finding their way into beneficial uses.
Gypsum has many commercial uses. It's used to make the wallboard in our houses. It's used in cement. It increases the time for concrete to set. And it has been used in agriculture for thousands of years. In the past, using gypsum in farming wasn't practical in this part of the country. The product had to be trucked in from other states, and that made it cost prohibitive. That's all changed now that We Energies is a local source for gypsum.
We Energy approached the Department of Natural Resources with a request for beneficial use of FGD gypsum in agricultural setting. The department reviewed the application of the We Energy and consulted with the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture and determined that the material is safe for use in the agricultural setting. FGD gypsum was approved in May of 2008.
The word got out quite quickly, and we started receiving calls from farmers asking if our gypsum could be made available for use in agriculture.
Farmers want the gypsum because it's an effective soil amendment and conditioner. It provides both physical and chemical benefits. For example, gypsum's properties alter the soil's chemistry.
Gypsum is composed of calcium and sulfur. All plants need calcium and sulfur. And now, because of scrubbing, many of our soil tests are showing up deficient in sulfur, and also calcium is needed, especially at root tips for plants to grow.
Along with those chemical changes come improvements in the soil's physical properties.
Wisconsin farmers are interested in the use of gypsum because many of their soils are quite tight, which causes problems with compaction, water erosion, poor rooting, poor infiltration of water into the soil, low nutrient release, just a lot of things that are associated with tight soils that gypsum can remediate.
I think the potential for gypsum would be for crops such as alfalfa, corn to some extent that have a relatively high demand for sulfur. The specialized potato growers, there's a demonstrated need, and in the northwestern part of Wisconsin, there's just less naturally occurring sulfur, there's less deposition from the atmosphere from precipitation. And so we see a greater need as we go from southeastern Wisconsin to northwestern Wisconsin. So I think there is definitely an opportunity to look for gypsum applications.
Gypsum promotes aggregation of the soil particles, and that reduces surface sealing, allowing more water to infiltrate the soil.
I think the most important benefit is getting the water into the soil. By putting a gypsum application on the soil surface, which will increase the infiltration rate of the water on soils quite significantly. keep that precious rainfall from running off.
Less runoff means less soil loss. That, combined with better infiltration, is a formula for better plant growth.
Many of our studies found that just simply adding gypsum greatly increases the root biomass, and that's particularly important in a drought year. We can't control how much it rains or when it rains, but by making a better root zone for the plant, the nutrients can be taken up by the roots.
In our experience, we've seen crops root much deeper and remain very vigorous throughout the summer, regardless of the weather events that are taking place.
Those good roots make for healthy plants and for healthy yields.
Research we did on edible beans, we increased the yield with just a single application of gypsum 100%. Other studies we've done, we've significantly increased even corn yield, soybean yield. Other people have increased alfalfa in other states.
Gypsum is effective and easy. It's easy to obtain, easy to use. The first step is to make sure it's appropriate for your field.
It requires some leadership for the farmer to understand if it fits, how it fits, and how to use it best. So we have to ask some questions, and in that process, the farmer needs to understand a little bit more about his soils from a little bit different perspective and make the decisions himself in terms of, yes, I need the gypsum, and here's how I'm going to use it, and here are my expectations for the gypsum in the next 2 to 3 years.
Once you know gypsum is right for your field, the next step is to make a phone call and place an order.
They bring it out in a quad axle or dump trailer. They can dump it at the farm or they'll put it right out at the field. It's a real friendly product. Easy to use, it spreads real fine, there aren't hard solids in it, applies well on the field, shooting at an application rate of about 1 ton per acre.
There are several ways to apply gypsum. You can have it done as custom work, or you can do it yourself.
You can use a lime spreader to spread it on, available at any co-op. They can come out and custom apply it for you. We use conventional manure spreaders, vertical type with a wide spread pattern. They seem to work pretty good, and these are pieces of equipment that a lot of the dairy farmers and livestock producers already own. So in that way you don't have to go out and buy a spreader. You can save some money by not having to hire a custom applicator to put the product on for you.
Gypsum is versatile. Its use isn't limited by the season, the crop, or the farming method.
This is a product you can broadcast. You can incorporate it in your spring tillage and or fall tillage, work it in the ground or leave it till spring, till you do some other tillage.
Gypsum fits a variety of farming operations, no-till, tilled environment, a variety of farm crops, row crops, alfalfa. And I would recommend if gypsum is needed in an area that we apply it as soon as we can so that it can begin to doing its work and remediating that soil and benefiting more crops down the road.
Gypsum is an effective soil amendment. It helps produce better crops and better yields. And now it's available from a local source, We Energies. For farmers, it's a versatile and valuable tool.
Gives you an advantage if you can get a better stand on your corn, if you can bump yields in alfalfa. Farming nowadays is so competitive. If you have that one competitive edge to do a little better job, it means a lot at the end of the year.
Gypsum is an investment for the farmer up front for long-term returns on that investment. Often our farmers tell us, first of all, that they are finding their equipment pulls easier in the soil. They may drive 2 gears faster to do the same work that they did a year ago before the gypsum. Also, early on, the farmer will begin to see water infiltration more so into the soil, less ponding, less surface sealing, and within the second year or so, they begin to see much more prolific rooting down into the soil. And ultimately, in just a few short years, maybe the third year, they'll begin to see more nutrient release into the soil, which then gives rise to higher crop production, ultimately giving the farmer a return on that investment. It's really a minor investment compared to the results that he can expect in the future.
We Energies Gypsum, a soil and plant additive, improves soil structure and water infiltration, improves crop quality and yield. improves the environment, and improves your bottom line. We Energies Gypsum. Energize your field. For details on how to obtain We Energies Gypsum, go to www.we-energies.com/environmental/gypsum.htm or call 414-221-4274.